Tyler, I know it feels like forever, but everything comes to an end. Doesn't it feel that way? You're like, he's been doing this show forever. But it's only been a year. We've only worked together a calendar year.
My name's Tyler Babin. I'm a photographer and a filmmaker.
Use is Tyler. Tyler, how you doing? What's up, man? Nice to meet you. Are you creating? Tyler the Creator. Yeah, we're never. You would take that name.
I've spent the last year working as a visual artist alongside Hasan Minhaj, documenting his comedy tour and ultimately producing his second Netflix special, The King's Jester. I shot just over 20,000 photos while we were on tour. The one that always comes to mind is from backstage in North Carolina. It was actually one of the first times that we had shot together. He was still working on what the show was going to be about. And there's this moment right before he walks out on stage where he steps back into the light. There's this sense of uncertainty and anticipation before everything gets crazy. My family had just gotten the first digital camera. It was like a brick with like a tiny screen when I was like 9 or 10. I so badly wanted to play with it. And finally, my dad was like, okay. Takes it out, like hands it to me. He's like, you gotta be careful. And then I proceeded to immediately turn and just fall onto the ground. But I like footballed it and just like took the hit. I got really into magic when I was young, and so, like I would lock myself in my room and literally film videos of me like shuffling cards to put up on YouTube and stuff like that. And I was downloading all these weird softwares to learn how to edit. I was just obsessive. My first job was taking yearbook photos. Every morning I would go to this photo studio, pick up all the equipment, drive to random elementary schools, set up, and then I was the picture day guy. Sit down, fill your head, click, next one. I would just sneak in on the weekends, invite my friends to the studio, and would shoot portraits of them. And that's like how I built my first portfolio. I grew up in this small town in Florida where there isn't a lot of potential in the arts. If I was gonna take this thing seriously, I needed to move. And I felt like all the best photographers in the world had spent time in New York. I started applying to just every internship I could find and finally got one. And that led to me working in advertising, which led to filmmaking, and that's ultimately how I met Hasan.
This is episode 274 of the Ask Gary Vee show. Hasan Minhaj is in the building.
Oh, yeah.
He came on and did the Ask Gary Vee podcast, and he knew me.
And now I'm on like Team Empathy, because you get it so hard in every single video.
Babin.
My God.
You're a real
Babin, holy
real
shit.
fucking fan.
And then sort of got this really random text message one day. And then he called me like really late one night, and we just talked for like an hour about these weird random ideas that he had. In an effort to not forget anything, I like grabbed a second phone and actually recorded our conversation. I don't know if he knows that I have this.
I knew my specialty was, yo, I know I'm not good at this, but I'm going to try it. And that I could actually give the archival footage. Like, yo, this was the audition tape. And we cut back and forth between those things. Yeah. Making an interesting choice through a swing will create problems for them.
In advertising, there always is a little bit more focus on quantity versus quality. Of course, the ambition was to always make the best work that I could, but when you're churning out 20 videos a day, there's only so much time that can be dedicated to each piece. So when Hasan and I started working together and I saw how meticulous his creative process was, it was a pretty intense change of pace.
Thank you. Winston-Salem, how you doing tonight? Hi, how are you?
This is the first show back. This is my journey to do my next special. I'm excited to build this with y'all tonight. I don't know how it's gonna go.
He started going and testing the show in these small towns. He would go on stage and he would perform the show, and then he would come backstage and I would go meet him, and then he would immediately just rip apart everything, be like, this didn't work, we're changing this, we're doing this. And then he would go back out on stage 20 minutes later, run it again, and I'd be like, that was great.
Act 1 and Act 2, we've locked in on that. But with Act 3, it's seen a ton of rework. You told me it was pretty good. but your bar between yo, it's cool and I love is, I don't even know how big that level is, so.
You know, I had no idea the intensity of the art form, the nuance, the repetition. It's so tedious. You're writing, you're rewriting, you're testing the show hundreds of times, running through the same hour, trying to shave off these fractions of a second. He probably gave me more creative feedback in the first week than I had received in like the previous 3 years. Initially, I was just like, I think I suck. I was like, I think I'm terrible at this. Hasan's focus is like, hey, I don't care if we put out 1 thing or 10 things, but they all need to adhere to a certain level of quality that we can all collectively look at and agree is good and is something we want to be like remembered for. Basically, between Hasan starting to test the shows, going out on tour, to the point of preparing to shoot the Netflix special, the show was on tour for a year.
Oh my God, Tyler the Creator.
You know, tour is really fun, but I'll be honest, the honeymoon phase of tour wears off very quickly. And then you sort of find yourself in this position of having to just find different things to explore. It's almost like you have to gamify the work in a way.
Radio City Music Hall. 5 shows?
5 shows.
Man,
How is the tour going, by the way? You sold out Radio City 5 times over?
It sort of becomes the blessing and curse of this job. Everything around me is moving at 100 miles an hour, and I have to try and make sense of it real time and find these special moments in the chaos where maybe it provides a different perspective on a specific aspect of his life. And you get to see this person who is a very successful comedian and lives in the public eye, but it gives you this opportunity to just see, like, he's just a guy. And so those are the moments that I'm always drawn to so much more.
all right, so we are at, we're at the hangar right now where they're building the entire set. And in my mind, because I thought we were shooting for film, the stage, the ceilings, everything would be tiny. The stage is gigantic. It's 40 feet across. I'm tiny. I'm gonna be up to here. The walls go all the way up to there. That's the dome. It's gonna go over the audience. It's crazy. This is the craziest. Now we just gotta make the show great. All right, so it's Friday, 3:30 p.m. We're 30 minutes away, getting into our first dress rehearsal. You know, we've done over 180 shows at this point. Might as well do it for keeps.
Everything was just at such a scale I hadn't experienced. I'm used to just having a camera and my laptop and churning things out that way. It was this year of build-up, a week of just rehearsing and getting cameras in the space and running through lighting cues and all these things. So much build-up for such a very short period of time.
Showtime, baby.
after Hasan finished the second show, he came backstage, and I like have these photos of him standing on this chair, like addressing the team, because I was just like, I can't believe it's over. I feel like I say this a lot, but sometimes it doesn't make sense to me that this is the work I get to do. I'm this, random kid from this small town in Florida where living in the arts is not something that is encouraged. You're generally told to be very realistic in your career choices, and I don't think that I was someone who showed a lot of promise or potential when I was younger. And a camera has always given me permission to push myself really far outside of my comfort zone. It gives me space to ask questions that I would normally probably be too timid to actually ask. And that is something that is held true throughout. I can always create whatever project I want and be able to pursue that to, tell the stories that I want to.